let's talk about training camp. The rookies report next week, which is crazy. I didn't even realize it until Lacey DaCosta, shout outs to DaCosta family, went on Twitter and mentioned it. Yeah, the rookies report next week. It's insane.
Unreal.
So how many times have we got on your show, Locked On Ravens, and talked about the grind of the offseason? Offseason is almost over. The Ravens don't have much time left to make big moves prior to the start of training camp. Maybe don't need to make any big moves. They've made plenty of that so far in the offseason. Do you know of any moves that you think the Ravens should make, Kevin, prior to training camp that will tickle your fancy, so to speak?
Yeah, there are a lot. I want to start with some extensions. And I think, to me, extensions are going to be the name of the game for the Ravens here, especially when it comes down to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is the big extension here to me. Now, it's not like he's going to be a free agent next year, right? We're not in that holding pattern. There is still time for them to work this thing out. But that time is actually kind of limited because next year, as you guys know, that cap hit skyrockets up to over $70 million. And if you want to build out a team, a competitive team, you cannot have a cap hit for one player, regardless of how good the guy is. And Lamar Jackson is the best player in the league right now, in my opinion. Yes. You cannot have a cap hit be $70 million. So, you can come back to the table for Lamar. Obviously, Buffalo and Josh Allen, right? They got a deal done. It was a ton of money. It reset the quarterback market. Lamar Jackson, guys, that deal happened just over 2 years ago, and he was the highest paid player in history at that point. He is now the 10th highest paid quarterback in the league. It is crazy how that happened over just 2 years. And a lot of guys, by the way, that do not deserve to be paid more than Lamar Jackson. But my point aside, that to me is what I'd love to see happen before training camp starts. I don't know if it does or not. I think we can kind of take away from the last contract saga, if you want to call it that the season start is probably the deadline for talks, and then they'll table it until the offseason, which I think is the right decision. But I think if you just get it done, because it also sets a precedent for if another big quarterback signs a deal and that is higher than Josh Allen's, well, now you got to beat that one as well. It's kind of like what happened with Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. Saquon signed his deal first. Derrick Henry got a couple more million out of that because Saquon got the deal first and it reset the market. So I think it's good business for both Lamar and the Ravens to sit down and get it done because Lamar certainly deserves a pay raise, and I hope Baltimore gives it to him before we kick off training camp here.
It's interesting when it comes to the Lamar signing and also some of the, I guess, the league collusion documents that had come out. And I thought it was interesting how Lamar and Eric DaCosta were kind of going back and forth talking contracts. And Lamar was saying he wanted that fully guaranteed contract. And clearly, he didn't get it, but he did, get some huge chunk of change and upfront money. I know we're probably never going to be privy to those conversations again when it comes to the current updated version of what Lamar and EDC are saying. But I think that, to your point, Kevin, there's no way you're going to be able to allow your team to kind of be, I'm not going to say held hostage necessarily by Lamar, but held hostage by the salary cap. Yeah. So getting a deal done is really of the utmost importance, because I also transition into the other guys that you have on your ball club. You're a good ball club, you win games, that means you got players that are going to want to be paid good money. And there are some players that are going to be wanting to get paid. The Kyle Hamiltons of the world, they want that good money. When you look at it, yeah, Tyler Linderbaum, at some point, he's going to want that good money too. When you look at it, there is Isaiah Likely sitting there like, hey, I think I can get some of that good money as well. I think that's going to be the challenge for this Baltimore Ravens club, whether or not they're going to be able to sign. It's not that you're not going to be able to sign them. It's, are you going to be able to compete against others that could potentially come along and you have a certain number and you feel really good about it, but other people come along and say, hey, we're going to pluck that player by offering them something that we know you can't match.
I think the other big thing to me, and to me, move number 2 would be Isaiah Likely. That to me is another big one before training camp. Because you're right, Q, there are a lot of names that have to get signed, right? I have a full extension tracker graphic. We got Bateman and Henry checked off, but there are like 10 names on that list that you can still go to. But I think likely before training camp would be really big, because I think personally he's going to have an awesome year, and he's going to drive that price up. And I think that while, yes, this is probably Mark Andrews last year, and that doesn't impact, who they're keeping and who they aren't in terms of that regard, I think the Ravens has done a lot of good business in their team's history, getting guys signed to extensions off of their rookie deals, and I'll go way back, and it's not even that way back, but like a Tavon Young or a Nick Boyle or Patrick Ricard, like those types of contracts. I think Isaiah Likely with a good year, he could get up there in top 5 highest paid tight end money if he goes out there and shows, because there are going to be teams chomping at the bit. Cincinnati Bengals, who's their tight end is Mike Gesicki, but they would love a guy like Isaiah Likely on their squad. A lot of teams would. I think Baltimore should get ahead of the curve there. I would love to see that. And Sam, I know your opinion on Isaiah in terms of where he is and where he can become as a player. So I think Likely and Lamar are my 2 extension candidates. And I'd love to see before training camp, but there are a lot of other names that you could throw in there, and I'd be fine with it.
What about bringing in guys outside of the organization, filling in some gaps? Maybe you don't feel there are any gaps with the interior of the offensive line. Maybe another safety. We talk about this all off season. You and I, Kevin. Anybody that comes to mind for you guys? Are you guys okay with getting this squad onto the football field in training camp and getting ready for the season?
Let's speculate, Q. What do you got?
Well, is Kevin Zeitler, is he signed yet?
Yeah, he's in Tennessee. Yep, Tennessee.
Well, see, Pat McCarry, he was just such a swing man.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not saying that Voorhees can't be that guy, although I'm sure he's probably wanting to really compete for the starting left guard spot. But I think offensive line, there's a little intrigue there for me. That Ben Cleveland signing was interesting. Okay. He was so deep in the doghouse.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you need to clean up your own manure that you kind of sitting there wallowing in. But so be it. He's back. I think, the offensive line, if there is some free agent veteran that would kind of fit that mold, I could see them signing. I think some of the young guys, again, just knowing John Harbaugh, while he likes his drafted guys and doesn't mind playing them, especially if they, live up to the rigors of training camp. But I think when it comes to like that veteran guy to be that swing offensive tackle, offensive guard, can play those different spots on a given week. I know, again, like I said, Voorhees, he's looking to be the starter, but, if it doesn't work, I think he could fill in with Pat McCarry kind of vacated when he left for free agency.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw out a name, and this one from Heather here is one of mine. I absolutely love this idea of bringing back Jadeveon Clowney just to round out the edge room. I don't know what that would mean for a guy like David Ojabo. I do actually. It means he's not going to be on the roster, but I think that it would be worth it because he knows the system, and actually, I think both Q and Sam, all 3 of us talked about this, on the Locked On Ravens show when I had you on individually. We talked about Clowney and him potentially coming back. I talked about it all last week. I think Clowney is someone that as a run defender, we know he is solid in that aspect, but he gave the Ravens 9+ sacks in his year in Baltimore. He can rush the passer, be a veteran presence. And I mean, just imagine a room with Odafe Owe, Kyle Van Noy, Jadeveon Clowney, Mike Green. You got Adisa Isaac, Tavius Robinson, who I think is going to be a big breakout guy for them. I mean, that'd be incredible. But going back to your point, Q, about the offensive line, an intriguing guy that's still available right now, I think Brandon Sheriff is someone. Washington, Jacksonville.
I'm surprised he's still available.
Yeah,
It must be something when usually
I don't know
guys
what
are
it is.
available, either price point or they might be dealing with something from a knee aspect or back or, offensive linemen, they're warriors, but, the course of time, you get those I say little, but then when you're retired, next thing you know, you're on your 5th surgery to clean up whatever. But it could be that, or it could just be money, and he's just using that as leverage to say, yeah, I'll sign when y'all really, really need me. But right now, I'm not going through training camp. I ain't going through all that. I don't need all that, which is his right to say, and that's great. But yeah, I could totally see from a Jadeveon Clowney aspect getting him back. Boy, you would definitely be losing out on, David Ajabo, although, I mean, he hasn't really earned the right to even be in a conversation on a consistent basis. And technically, I mean, what is that? That would make 7 guys. So
yeah,
I don't see 6 making it. I see 5.
Yeah.
And I know Mike Green, from what I've seen in the mini camps and OTAs, like, if there was one guy that I'm excited to kind of look at, everybody's going to be all eyes on Malaki Starks, great. That's awesome. But Jadeveon Clowney and company, if they signed him, man, Mike Green, he would absorb all that wealth of knowledge. Yeah. And I shoot, I'd be like, oh, buddy, let's sit back and watch. He has a high motor. His intensity from 0 to 60, like, he's that Formula One. He's not NASCAR. He's Formula One. That dude can go. Like, and he made it look effortless a few times out there when, he kind of jumped up and got on the edge real quick. So you said Tavius Robinson, I think, for him. Last year, he was my guy. He had a great camp. He showed up. I think he's more of a Jarrett Johnson from back in the day, where he would just be an edge setter, Mr. Dependable, Mr. Reliable, not going to run on us. I'll come up on that strong side. I'm going to let all those, whether it be a pulling guard, whether it be the tackle trying to come out and seal me, whether it be a tight end double team, whether it be even a crack block to a certain degree, because those are illegal. But I think at the same time, bigger picture-wise, his presence of allowing that flow to be shut down and not get outside of him, I think that's where his value is at. So, yeah, Jadeveon, if he does, it's be some interesting decisions. And, again, he might be one of those veterans that you don't have to necessarily bring him in. Let Adisa Isaac see what he got, and if he has that consistency, and the hamstring and all the things that are in the rearview mirror, okay, the Ravens, they save themselves a couple bucks. But if not, you bring in Jadeveon, and now it's like, oh, buddy, all hands on deck. Somebody's going to have to step down and step aside, which is fine. That's the business side of it all, but I think he'd be a great addition.
Move number 5 for me, by the way, I want to throw this out. Justin Simmons, Sam, I know how you feel about Justin Simmons in that safety room. I think is that something you'd be on board with, Sam? Justin Simmons to Baltimore?
I would love it.